and it sounds like a fast D. D, da da da, da. Da da da. Hey everyone, it's Anna. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be analyzing a real, unscripted, and unedited speech. You know, we're watching movies and videos on YouTube that are scripted or edited in order to practice our listening skills, and everyone edits their videos. They, us included, edit their videos so there's nothing unnecessary and so they are concise. However, in an actuality, it is super normal to take pauses to think, forget a word, or even stutter, especially if it's a monologue. Not everyone can speak nonstop for 20 minutes. If you do shadowing them, first of all, way to go, I'm proud of you. Secondly, in terms of practice, it is very helpful to shadow movies as they pick the best scenes to stay in the movie. The actors' speeches are impeccable and perfect for those scenes as they are rehearsed thousands of times. However, when people speak using their own words in different situations, like answering uncomfortable questions or when they are nervous, for example, when in an interview, they might stutter or repeat their own words or speak too fast or take longer pauses or even make mistakes that we non-native speakers dread so much. It is great to learn from the best and want to reach the highest level, but it's also important to understand that not being perfect is absolutely okay. That's why I want us to watch and analyze Leonardo DiCaprio's Oscar speech for winning Best Actor in a leading role in the movie The Revenant.
Thank you for helping me navigate my way through this industry, and to my parents, none of this would be possible without you. And to my friends, I love you dearly. You know who you are. And lastly, I just want to say this. Our production needed to move to the southern tip of this planet just to be able to find snow. Climate change is real, and we need to work collectively together and stop procrastinating. We need to support leaders around the world who do not speak for the big polluters or the big corporations, but who speak for our children's children and for those people out there whose voices have been drowned out by the politics of greed. Let us not take this planet for granted. I do not take tonight for granted. Thank you so very much.
So I chose this speech not to shame or criticize this brilliant actor because I myself wouldn't be able to say a word in front of such a crowd, so I don't have the right to criticize him. I chose it just as an example to show that even trained people that are used to being in public, that are used to public speaking and being in the spotlight might get nervous or overly excited, as in his case. And this will affect their speech. This is just a normal response of your body. Why am I bringing this up? Because somehow a lot of people who are learning English got this idea that you either have to speak perfectly or not speak at all. And I know where this idea comes from, and I know where you come from if you think like this, because I was one of those people. Even though I try to do my best to fight these thoughts and keep going forward anyway, I still said to myself that I have to do better and be better when I analyze my speech. And it's not a bad thing to want to be better as long as these thoughts are not so loud that they depress you and make you want to quit. I'm getting messages from people on a regular basis saying that even though they practice a lot, when it comes to real in-person conversations, they face problems. They tend to stutter, confuse words, take long pauses, and go blank. And they feel as if these moments last forever and they're taking the longest pauses in the world's history and that everyone is noticing them and thinks they're stupid. They think that all that practice was for nothing and they get anxious even thinking about their next conversation. Though I'm sure that Leo had prepared and rehearsed his speech as they do just in case they win, he still was very excited. His mouth got dry, consequently it affected his pronunciation. Because of his emotions, because he had a lot to say and he didn't want it to take forever, he spoke pretty fast and sometimes stumbled over his words. But the thing that stuck out most to me was his intonation, which was kind of flat. No pauses were taken in the places where they would have made sense, and that would have made the speech sound more deliberate compared to his perfect speech in the scene from The Wolf of Wall Street.
Like a loaded M16 without a trained Marine to pull the trigger. And in the case of the telephone, it's up to each and every one of you, my highly trained Stratonites,
My killers. My killers who will not take no for an answer.
Intonation, pauses, stresses, emotion, the words he uses, everything is impeccable. So we practice using these scenes, but we also listen to real speech and throw perfectionism in the trash. And people who gave presentations or speeches or had important conversations or just spoke English and were terrified are familiar with these things. They happen. We're not robots, we have emotions that make us human. So even though speaking is a skill that we need to work on and that can be improved and mastered, it's okay not to be perfect. As for this speech, there's a few things I want to point out in terms of pronunciation, intonation, and vocabulary. But besides all this, it also has a very important message.
To Mr. Rick Yorn, thank you for helping me navigate my way through this industry. And
He stumbles over his words here a little. It's because he's a little out of breath and his mouth is dry, which happens when we get nervous, worried, agitated, or excited. And to be honest, it looks so natural and cute.
to my parents, none of this would be possible without you. And to my friends, I love you dearly. You know who you are. Our production needed to move to the southern tip of this planet just to be able to find snow.
Here, I want to draw your attention to the flap T sound. That is one of the most prominent sounds in American pronunciation. And it sounds like a fast D. D, da, 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 da. He uses the flap T in the word to.
And to my parents, none of this would be possible without you. And to my friends, I love you dearly. You know who you are. Our production needed to move to the southern tip of this planet just to be able to find snow.
The word to can be pronounced in 4 ways. As t with a schwa and to with a long U sound and with a true T sound. And as d and do accordingly, but with a fast D sound. This depends on the sound that follows or precedes the word to. This topic, the ways of pronouncing the T sound in American English, requires a separate video because there's a lot of things that need to be explained. Honestly, even the pronunciation of the word to on its own requires a separate video. In essence, on when to use a D sound in the word to. If a voice sound precedes the word to, then the T in the word to might change to a D. If a voiceless sound precedes the word to, or if the previous word ends in a T, then the T in the word to remains a true T. That was a mouthful. But if he or you said, to my parents, to my friends, to the natural world, it would be totally fine. As in this sentence where he stumbled over his words and confused the ending of the word procrastinating, which is not a big deal, he just continued speaking. He used a true T here.
And we need to work collectively together and stop procrastinating. We need to support leaders around the world.
But in order to be able to pull off a D sound in the word to, you need to use connected speech. Connected speech and reductions, it's what oftentimes language learners call fast speech. It's what language learners always complain about, and it's what makes it difficult to understand native speakers. In short, it's when words flow into each other. The ending of one word connects to the beginning of another. Some sounds are reduced, and of course, there's no pause after each word. It's important to work on this sound if you want to acquire an American accent because it also appears in many other words such as better, water, city, and so on, or in reduced forms like gotta. Using the flap T is going to make you sound more natural and relaxed. Also, it helps connect words easier and smoothes out speech. But again, to sound natural using the flap T in the word to, there shouldn't be any unnecessary pauses in one sentence, just like in this case. Your words should be connected. Otherwise, if you speak at a relatively slow pace, duh will sound forced and even strange. That's why he took that pause when he stumbled. He used to because he separated need and to.
Procrastinating. We need to support leaders around the world.
Let's move on to the word dearly. He pronounced the R unclearly because, again, he was speaking pretty fast, and the RL transition is hard enough in and of itself.
And to my friends, I love you dearly. You know who you are.
Then let's take a look at the words hottest and southern.
As the hottest year in recorded history, our production needed to move to the southern tip of this planet.
In the word hottest, there's that same flap T and a short O sound. Ah. It's an open sound, so you need to drop your jaw quite a bit as opposed to a short U sound in the word southern, which is more closed. Ah. Also know that we say south with an ow diphthong, but with the word southern, we pronounce it with a short U sound. Southern. South, southern.
For our children's children, and for those people out there whose voices have been drowned out by the politics of greed.
Here's a phrasal verb to drown out. To drown out something or someone means to be loud enough to block the loudness of something else. So the politics of greed blocked the voices of those people that he listed. The next thing that I want to point out is the expression to take something for granted.
Let us not take this planet for granted. I do not take tonight for granted. Thank you so very much.
To take something for granted means that someone doesn't appreciate the value of something or someone and thinks that it's or they will be always available. So I don't take tonight for granted means that he appreciates it. Now, regarding pronunciation, he dropped the T in the word granted, and this is what most native speakers would do. Drop the T that comes directly after an N. However, saying this word or any other word where you can drop the T with the T is perfectly fine too. You will hear printer and printer, 20 and 20, identify and identify. Some people say interesting, interesting, and some people even say interesting. And also when we connect words together like don't and no, we get dunno, and it's called a reduced form. The last thing that I'd like us to dissect, so to speak, is his intonation, and be more specific, the pace of his speech. But before I say anything, I just want to make this clear one more time. This speech is great the way it is. We are allowed to speak the way we feel at the moment. This is just an example of what people usually refer to as could have been better, and it could have. That's why there's such a thing as an analysis, where you dig deep, break down, evaluate, and interpret in order to learn. So this part.
Thank you for helping me navigate my way through this industry, and to my parents, none of this would be possible without you. And to my friends, I love you dearly. You know who you are. And lastly, I just want to say this.
It sounds like one huge sentence because there's no pauses and it's a little hard to follow his train of thought. It'd be clear if there were pauses before the words "and my parents," and then right after these words and before "none of this," and then right after these words and before "and my friends," and then also after "you know who you are" and before "lastly." It'd be very nice to slow down. Then after this, he actually uses pauses and it helps to draw attention to his words. Okay, that's it. Thank you guys for watching this video and this brief analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you enjoy our content, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.